Ilara's second-in-command, Ren Takashi, approached her with a concerned look on his face. "Captain, we're picking up some strange readings from the nearby planet. It doesn't match any known signatures in our database." Ilara's interest was piqued. This was exactly the kind of discovery they had hoped for when they embarked on this deep space exploration mission. Put on the main screen, Ren. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing a swirling mass of blues and greens. The planet looked almost Earth-like, but there was something off about it. The continents were arranged in patterns that defied natural formation, and the oceans seemed to glow with an inner light. "It's beautiful," whispered Ilara, her voice filled with awe. "Any signs of life?" Ren shook his head. "Nothing definitive, but there's a lot of atmospheric interference. We'd need to get closer for a proper scan." Ilara weighed her options. Their mission parameters allowed for investigation of potentially habitable worlds, but caution was always advisable when dealing with the unknown. After a moment's consideration, she made her decision. "Take us in, Ren, but keep our shields up and weapons on standby. Let's not take any unnecessary risks." As the Starlight Wanderer descended into the planet's atmosphere, the crew watched in amazement as the world came into sharper focus. The continents were indeed artificial, massive structures that spanned thousands of kilometers. The oceans pulsed with bioluminescent life, creating a breathtaking light show. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. "Captain," shouted the young ensign at the sensor station, "we're detecting a massive energy surge coming from the surface." Before Ilara could respond, a beam of pure energy shot up from the planet, enveloping the Starlight Wanderer in a shimmering field. The ship's systems went haywire, and Ilara felt a strange tingling sensation throughout her body. "Brace for impact," she yelled, but the expected crash never came. Instead, the ship gently settled onto a massive platform that had risen from the ocean below. As the energy field dissipated, Ilara and her crew found themselves staring at a sight that would change the course of human history forever. Standing before them, easily 3 times the height of an average human, was an alien being. Its body was composed of what looked like living crystal, with pulsing veins of energy running throughout. Multiple limbs extended from its torso, each ending in delicate, precise manipulators. The alien's face was a swirling vortex of light and color, constantly shifting and changing. When it spoke, the words seemed to form directly in Ilara's mind, bypassing her ears entirely. "Greetings, explorers from beyond the stars. We are the Luminarians, guardians of this world and keepers of ancient knowledge. Your arrival has been long foretold." Ilara, struggling to maintain her composure in the face of this unprecedented event, stepped forward. "I am Captain Ilara Novak of the Earth exploration vessel Starlight Wanderer. We come in peace and with a desire to learn." The Luminarian's colors shifted to a warm, welcoming hue. "Your curiosity does you credit, Captain Novak. But I'm afraid your arrival heralds both great opportunity and terrible danger for both our peoples." Ren, who had moved to stand beside his captain, couldn't contain his curiosity. "What do you mean by that?" The alien's form seemed to ripple with concern. "Your presence here has activated ancient systems long dormant. You have inadvertently set in motion events that could lead to the destruction of countless worlds, including your own." Ilara felt a chill run down her spine. What had they stumbled into? Is there anything we can do to help? To stop whatever's been set in motion? The Luminarian extended one of its crystalline limbs, projecting a holographic image of a strange mechanical device. "This artifact, hidden in the depths of our world, is the key. It must be recovered and deciphered if we are to prevent catastrophe. But the journey will be perilous, and we cannot undertake it alone." Ilara looked back at her crew, seeing a mix of fear and determination on their faces. She knew that they had not signed up for a potentially universe-altering mission, but she also knew that they couldn't turn their backs on this responsibility. "We'll help you," Ilara declared, her voice steady and resolute. "Whatever it takes, we'll face this challenge together." The Luminarian's colors swirled with gratitude and respect. "Your courage honors you, Captain. Come, we have much to prepare, and time is not on our side." As Elara and her crew followed the Luminarian towards a shimmering portal that had appeared on the platform, she couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and trepidation. They had sought out new life and new civilizations, and now they were about to embark on an adventure beyond their wildest imaginations. Little did they know that their actions in the coming days would not only determine the fate of Earth and the Luminarian homeworld, but would also cement humanity's place among the stars. The journey ahead would test their resolve, challenge their beliefs, and push them to their very limits. But for now, as they stepped through the portal into a world of wonder and danger, Elara Novak and her crew were filled with the unshakable human spirit of exploration and the determination to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The first contact had been made, and the universe would never be the same again. Captain Elara Novak and her crew emerged from the shimmering portal into a vast underground chamber. The walls pulsed with the same bioluminescent energy they had observed from orbit, casting an otherworldly glow across the cavernous space. The Luminarian guide, whom they now knew as Sorrel, glided effortlessly ahead of them. "The artifact chamber lies deep within our world's core," Sorrel's thoughts resonated in their minds. "We must move swiftly, for its awakening has already begun to affect the planet's stability." As if on cue, a tremor shook the cavern, causing loose crystals to rain down from the ceiling. Rentakashi steadied himself against a nearby pillar, his eyes wide with concern. "Captain," he whispered to Elara, "are you sure about this? We're way out of our depth here." Elara met his gaze with a determined look. "We may be, Ren, but we're also the only hope these beings have. Sometimes, being human means stepping up when no one else can." Their journey took them through a labyrinth of tunnels and chambers, each more breathtaking than the last. The crew marveled at structures that defied their understanding of physics and biology. In one room, they witnessed what appeared to be a living computer, its circuits composed of pulsating organic material. Ensign Zara Chen, the team's phenobiologist, could barely contain her excitement. "Captain, the scientific implications of what we're seeing here, it's beyond revolutionary. This could change everything we know about life in the universe." Elara nodded, sharing the young ensign's enthusiasm despite the gravity of their situation. "Let's make sure we live to study it all, shall we?" As they descended deeper, the tremors grew more frequent and intense. Zala's crystalline form vibrated with what Elara interpreted as anxiety. "We are nearing the chamber," the Luminarian announced. "But I sense something is wrong." They entered a colossal spherical room, its walls lined with what looked like thousands of dormant Luminarians. At the center, suspended in a column of energy, was the artifact, a metallic object about the size of a human fist, covered in intricate, swirling patterns that seemed to move of their own accord. But they weren't alone. A group of Luminarians stood around the artifact, their colors a harsh, discordant red that set them apart from Zarl's soothing hues. One of them turned to face the newcomers, its thoughts radiating hostility. "Zarl, you fool," the hostile Luminarian's thoughts boomed. "You bring outsiders to our most sacred place. These primitives cannot comprehend the power we wield." Zarl moved protectively in front of Elara and her crew. "Vorax, you don't understand. The prophecy speaks of their coming. They are meant to help us." Vorax's form pulsed with disdain. "The prophecy is a myth, a story to keep the masses complacent. We are the Ascended, and we alone will harness the artifact's power to reshape the galaxy in our image." Elara stepped forward, her voice steady despite the tension crackling in the air. "We don't want to interfere in your affairs, but if what Sorrel says is true, the activation of this artifact threatens not just your world, but countless others. We can't stand by and let that happen." Vorak's attention snapped to Elara, his thoughts probing her mind with an uncomfortable intensity. "Intriguing. You believe you can stop us. Your species is young, barely out of its cradle. What hope do you have against beings who have shaped stars? Before Elara could respond, the artifact pulsed with blinding energy. The chamber shook violently, and cracks began to appear in the walls. The dormant luminarians stirred, their forms flickering to life. The awakening. Zaal's thoughts were tinged with panic. It's happening too fast. We must act now. Vorax and his followers moved to seize the artifact, but Elara was quicker. Years of zero training kicking in, she launched herself towards the energy column. Her hand closed around the artifact just as Vorax's crystalline appendage reached for it. The moment Elara touched the object, her world exploded into chaos. Visions flooded her mind. Stars being born and dying, civilizations rising and falling, the vast tapestry of the universe unfolding before her. She felt as if her consciousness was being stretched across time and space. Through the maelstrom of sensations, she heard Ren's voice, distant but urgent. "Captain, let go. We need to go now." With a Herculean effort, Elara wrenched her mind back to the present. She found herself being pulled away from the energy column by Ren and Zara. The chamber was collapsing around them, and the ascended luminarians were in disarray. Zara's thoughts cut through the chaos. "Quickly, to the portal. We must escape." As they ran, dodging falling debris and the grasping limbs of the ascended, Elara clutched the artifact to her chest. Its power thrummed through her, and she knew that their adventure had only just begun. They burst through the portal just as the chamber collapsed behind them. Back on the surface platform, they watched in horror as the once beautiful planet began to break apart. Zara's form dimmed with sorrow. "Our world is lost, but thanks to your bravery, Captain, hope remains. The artifact is safe, but our journey is far from over." Elara looked down at the object in her hands, its patterns now serenely still. The weight of responsibility settled on her shoulders, heavier than any burden she had ever borne. "What happens now?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Zara's colors shifted to a determined blue. "Now, Captain Novak, we must unlock the artifact's secrets and stop the Ascended before they can carry out their plans. The fate of the galaxy rests in our hands." As the Starlight Wanderer prepared to leave the dying planet, Elara knew that she and her crew were now part of something far greater than a simple exploration mission. They had become the unlikely guardians of a power beyond imagination and the front line in a war that spanned the cosmos. The artifact pulsed once in Elara's hands, as if acknowledging the challenges that lay ahead. Whatever came next, Elara was certain of one thing: humanity would face it with courage, ingenuity, and the unshakable spirit that had carried them to the stars. The Starlight Wanderer hung in space, its hull still bearing scorch marks from their narrow escape. Inside, Captain Elara Novak stood in the makeshift lab they had set up, staring at the alien artifact. Despite its small size, its presence seemed to fill the room with an almost palpable energy. Zaral, their Luminarian ally, hovered nearby, its crystalline form pulsing with a mix of curiosity and concern. "The artifact responds to you, Captain. This is unprecedented." Elara nodded, her brow furrowed in concentration. Ever since they had fled the collapsing Luminarian homeworld, she had been experiencing flashes of insight, glimpses of knowledge that seemed to come from the artifact itself. "It's trying to communicate, I think, but it's like trying to understand an entire language all at once." The door to the lab slid open, and Ren entered, his usually calm demeanor visibly strained. "Captain, we've got a problem. Long-range sensors are picking up multiple ships on an intercept course. They don't match any known configurations in our database." Elara's heart sank. The Ascended. Zaral's colors darkened. "It is likely. They will not give up the artifact without a fight." "Well, they're not getting it," Elara said firmly. She turned to Ren. "Battle stations. We need to buy some time." As alarms blared throughout the ship, Elara felt a sudden, intense pulse from the artifact. Images flashed through her mind. A distant star system, a hidden outpost, and allies. Wait, she called out, just as Ren was about to leave. I think I know where we need to go. Using the artifact's guidance, Ilara directed the Starlight Wanderer to a remote star system. As they dropped out of FTL, they found themselves facing a massive space station, its design an organic blend of technology and living matter. Before they could hail the station, a fleet of ships suddenly materialized around them, but instead of attacking, a message came through. Starlight Wanderer, this is Admiral Zik of the Galactic Concord. We've been expecting you. Ilara exchanged shocked glances with her crew. The Galactic Concord was thought to be a myth, a legend of an advanced alien alliance that protected the cosmos from threats beyond comprehension. After docking with the station, Ilara, Ren, Zara, and Saril were escorted to a vast chamber. Alien beings of various species filled the room, their attention focused on a holographic display of the galaxy. Admiral Zik, a tall, avian-like being with iridescent feathers, approached them. Captain Novak, your arrival with the artifact has set in motion events long foretold. The Ascended are but one faction in a cosmic war that has raged for eons. Ilara felt overwhelmed, but she steeled herself. Admiral, we're just an exploration vessel. We're not prepared for a war. Zik's eyes, multifaceted and gleaming with an inner light, fixed on Ilara. And yet, Captain, the artifact chose you. In all our millennia of existence, it has never bonded with a being as it has with you. You may not be prepared, but you are necessary. Over the next few hours, Ilara and her crew received a crash course in cosmic history. They learned of ancient races that had seeded the galaxy with life, of terrible weapons that could unmake reality itself, and of the delicate balance that the Concord had maintained for countless generations. The artifact, they were told, was a key to unlocking the true potential of the universe. In the right hands, it could usher in an era of unimaginable peace and prosperity. In the wrong hands, it could lead to the annihilation of all existence. As the briefing concluded, alarms blared throughout the station. The Ascended had arrived, their fleet far larger and more powerful than anyone had anticipated. Admiral Zik turned to Ilara, his feathers bristling with determination. Captain Novak, we need your help. The artifact responds to you in ways we don't fully understand. Will you stand with us? Ilara looked at her crew. Ren nodded firmly, his loyalty unwavering. Zara's eyes shone with a mix of fear and excitement at the wonders they had discovered. Sila pulsed with a steady, reassuring light. Taking a deep breath, Ilara stepped forward. We're with you, Admiral. Humanity's always dreamed of making a difference in the universe. Looks like we've got our chance. What followed was a crash course in advanced alien technology. The Starlight Wanderer was quickly retrofitted with Concord tech, transforming it from an exploration vessel into a formidable warship. Ilara and her crew trained alongside alien allies, learning to work in perfect synchronization with beings whose physiology and thought processes were vastly different from their own. Through it all, Ilara's connection to the artifact grew stronger. She began to understand its vast repository of knowledge, glimpsing the incredible potential it held. As the final preparations were made, Ilara stood on the bridge of the Starlight Wanderer, now the flagship of the Concord fleet. Around her, humans worked alongside aliens, their differences forgotten in the face of the coming battle. Admiral Zik's voice came through the comms. The Ascended fleet approaches. Captain, are you ready? Ilara looked at her crew, at the allies they had made, and at the artifact humming with power in its new housing at the heart of the ship. She thought of Earth, of all the worlds that were counting on them, even if they didn't know it. Ready, Admiral, she replied, her voice steady and determined. Let's show the Ascended what happens when you mess with the galaxy. As the enemy fleet appeared on their sensors, Ilara felt a surge of unity through her connection with the artifact. In that moment, she knew that whatever the outcome, this battle would change the course of galactic history forever. The Starlight Wanderer surged forward, leading the charge against the Ascended. The fate of the universe hung in the balance, and humanity was right at the center of it all. The vastness of space erupted into chaos as the Concorde fleet engaged the Ascended. The Starlight Wanderer, once a humble exploration vessel, now led the charge, its newly integrated alien technology allowing it to dance between enemy fire with impossible grace. On the bridge, Captain Ilara Novak's hands flew over the controls, her mind seamlessly connected to both the ship and the artifact. Through this link, she could sense the ebb and flow of the battle, coordinating the Concorde forces with unprecedented efficiency. "Ren, target the lead Ascended ship," Ilara called out, her voice steady despite the stakes. "Zara, relay tactical data to the Concorde frigates on our starboard side." Her crew responded with practiced precision, humans and aliens working in perfect harmony. Zardal, hovering near the artifact's housing, pulsed with admiration. "Your species adapts quickly, Captain. It is impressive." A massive explosion rocked the ship as an Ascended cruiser detonated nearby. Ilara gritted her teeth, reaching out through her connection to the artifact. She could feel the Ascended's desperation, their fanatical belief that only they could wield the artifact's power responsibly. Suddenly, a searing pain lanced through Ilara's mind. The artifact pulsed wildly, and a holographic display sprang to life in the center of the bridge. It showed a massive, swirling vortex of energy forming at the heart of the Ascended fleet. Admiral Zek's urgent voice crackled over the comms. "By the eternal stars, they're attempting to create a void tear." Ilara's blood ran cold. During their crash course in cosmic history, they had learned of void tears, ruptures in the fabric of reality that could swallow entire star systems. How is that possible? I thought the artifact was needed for something like that. Saul's form flickered with distress. They must have had a fragment, a shard of the original artifact. Alone, it was not powerful enough, but with the true artifact awakened, understanding dawned on Ilara. The Ascended weren't just fighting for control of the artifact, they were trying to force a confrontation, to bring the two pieces close enough to catalyze a reaction. "All ships, fall back," Ilara commanded, her mind racing. "We need to put distance between us and that tear." But as the Concorde fleet began to retreat, the void tear grew exponentially. Stars blinked out of existence as they were consumed by the insatiable maw of nothingness. Zara's voice was tight with fear. "Captain, at this rate of expansion, the tear will consume this entire sector within hours, and then keep going." Ilara felt the weight of billions of lives on her shoulders. She turned to Xaril. "There has to be a way to stop this. The artifact, it has to know something." The Luminarian's colors swirled thoughtfully. "Perhaps, but to access such knowledge would require a deeper connection than any we have achieved. The risks to your mind would be significant." Ren stepped forward, his face a mask of concern. "Captain, you can't be considering this. We don't know what that level of connection could do to you." Ilara looked out at the viewport, watching as more stars vanished into the growing void. "We're out of options, Ren, and we're out of time." With a determined nod to Xaril, Ilara placed her hands on the artifact's housing. The moment she made contact, her consciousness exploded outward. She saw the birth of stars, the rise and fall of civilizations, the very threads of reality itself. Through the maelstrom of cosmic knowledge, Ilara focused on their current crisis. The solution began to take shape in her mind, complex, dangerous, but possible. With tremendous effort, she pulled herself back to the present. Her body felt distant, almost foreign, but she forced her lips to move. We need to get closer to the tear. The artifact, it can close the rift, but we need to be at the epicenter." Admiral Zyke's voice was heavy with concern. "Captain Novak, what you're suggesting is a suicide mission." "It's the only way," Ilara insisted, her voice growing stronger. The Starlight Wanderer was retrofitted with Concorde tech. "We're the only ship that can get close enough and channel the artifact's power effectively." A moment of heavy silence fell over the comms. Then Zek spoke again, his tone filled with respect. "May the cosmos watch over you, Captain. We'll provide whatever cover we can." As the Starlight Wanderer broke from the retreating fleet, turning to face the monstrous void tear, Ilara felt a surge of pride in her crew. Humans and aliens stood side by side, fear in their eyes but determination in their hearts. "It has been an honor serving with all of you," Ilara said, her gaze sweeping across the bridge. "Whatever happens next, know that we're making a difference. We're saving countless lives." The ship plunged towards the heart of the chaos, dodging debris and enemy fire. The void tear loomed before them, a hungry maw of unreality threatening to devour everything in its path. Ilara placed her hands on the artifact once more, feeling its power surge through her. As they approached the event horizon of the tear, she closed her eyes, reaching out with her mind to grasp the very fabric of space-time. "Here goes everything," she whispered, and began to weave reality back together. The Starlight Wanderer vanished into the heart of the void tear, carrying with it the hopes of the galaxy and the indomitable spirit of humanity. The fate of existence itself hung in the balance, with Captain Ilara Novak and her crew at the center of it all. As the ship disappeared from sensors, the battle around them seemed to hold its breath, waiting to see if this desperate gambit would save them all, or if the void would simply continue to grow, unabated and unstoppable. The Starlight Wanderer plunged into the heart of the void tear, reality warping around it in mind-bending patterns. Inside the ship, chaos reigned as systems flickered and alarms blared. But at the center of it all, Captain Ilara Novak stood firm, her hands placed on the artifact, her mind stretched to its limits as she grappled with cosmic forces beyond mortal comprehension. Ren struggled to keep the ship stable, his fingers flying over the controls. "Captain, structural integrity is failing. We can't take much more of this." Zora's voice was tight with tension. "The tear is still expanding. Whatever we're doing, it's not enough." Ilara could hear them, their voices distant as if coming from underwater. Her consciousness was spread across time and space, seeing the intricate weave of reality itself. She could feel the artifact's power coursing through her, but it wasn't just raw energy, it was knowledge, purpose, the accumulated wisdom of eons. In that moment of clarity, Ilara understood. The artifact wasn't just a tool or a weapon. It was a key, meant to unlock the true potential of sentient beings. And humanity, in all its flawed glory, had been chosen for this moment. "It's not enough because it's not complete," Ilara spoke, her voice resonating with otherworldly harmonics. "The Ascended have the missing piece. We need to make it whole." Sarl's crystalline form vibrated with understanding. "Of course. The fragment they used to create the tear, it's part of the whole." With monumental effort, Ilara reached out through the chaotic energies of the void tear. She could sense the Ascended ships, feel their confusion and fear as their plans spiraled out of control. And there, at the heart of their fleet, she felt the pulse of the artifact's missing piece. "Ren," she commanded, her voice strained but determined, "set a course for the Ascended flagship. We need to get closer." "Closer," Ren exclaimed, disbelief coloring his voice. "Captain, we're barely holding together as it is." "Trust me," Ilara said, a small smile playing on her lips despite the gravity of the situation. Humanity didn't come this far by playing it safe. As the Starlight Wanderer changed course, pushing deeper into the maelstrom, Ilara reached out with her mind. She touched the consciousnesses of the Ascended, feeling their shock at this unexpected mental contact. "Your path leads only to destruction," she communicated, her thoughts echoing across the void. "But it's not too late. Join us. Help us seal the tear and protect the galaxy we all call home." For a moment, there was only stunned silence. Then, a chorus of alien minds responded, their thoughts a jumble of fear, anger, and, surprisingly, hope. The Ascended flagship suddenly changed course, moving to intercept the Starlight Wanderer. But instead of attacking, it matched their trajectory, bringing the artifact fragment closer. As the two ships drew near, The artifact in Ilara's hands began to pulse with blinding energy. The fragment responded in kind, two pieces of a cosmic whole yearning to be reunited. "Everyone, brace yourselves," Ilara shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos on the bridge. "This is going to get bumpy." The moment the two pieces of the artifact connected, a shockwave of pure energy exploded outward. Ilara felt as if her very atoms were being torn apart and reassembled. Her mind expanded beyond the confines of her body, beyond the ship, beyond the void tear itself. In that infinite moment, Ilara saw the truth of the universe, its beauty, its cruelty, its infinite potential, and she understood what needed to be done. With a thought that felt like moving mountains, Ilara began to manipulate the fabric of reality. The void tear, that gaping wound in the cosmos, began to shrink. Stars that had been swallowed blinked back into existence. The chaos of unreality retreated before the ordered march of restored space-time. On the bridge of the Starlight Wanderer, the crew watched in awe as their captain, glowing with otherworldly energy, rewove the very fabric of the universe. Humans and aliens alike stood witness to a moment that would be remembered for eons to come, the day humanity proved its worth among the stars. As the last remnants of the void tear faded away, Ilara felt the cosmic energy recede. The artifact, now whole once more, grew cool in her hands. She swayed, suddenly feeling the weight of her physical form again. Ren was there in an instant, supporting her as she stumbled. "Easy, Captain. You did it. You actually did it." Ilara managed a weak smile. "We did it, Ren. All of us." As the Starlight Wanderer limped back to the Concord fleet, cheers and celebrations erupted across every channel. Ships of all designs and origins surrounded them, honoring the crew that had saved the galaxy. Admiral Zyke's voice came through, filled with awe and respect. "Captain Novak, I don't know how to begin to thank you and your crew. You've done the impossible." Ilara, leaning heavily on Ren for support, looked out at the starfield, whole, unbroken, teeming with life and possibility. "We just did what humanity does best, Admiral. We faced the unknown, and we found a way through." As medical teams rushed to attend to the exhausted crew, Ilara knew that this was more than just a victory. It was a beginning. Humanity had proven itself on a cosmic stage, and the universe would never be the same again. The artifact hummed softly in its housing, a promise of adventures yet to come and mysteries still to be unraveled. Whatever lay ahead, Ilara knew that humanity would face it with the same courage, ingenuity, and spirit that had carried them through this crisis. The stars beckoned, brighter than ever before, and humanity was ready to answer their call.